We're at Wizard World 2019. My name is Dylan Lazaga with Captain Casey. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well, thank you. A little tired from a drive, but doing pretty well.
Where exactly did you drive from?
I drive from Lake Tahoe because I am a mountain girl full through and through. So, yeah.
So you are an international cosplayer. Let me ask you, what was your biggest inspiration into taking part in cosplay culture?
Really, I guess like my big, in terms of inspiration, I think it's probably my just theater and film in general, because one of my bachelor's degrees is in theater, and I just love the whole dressing up and getting to be your own person and everything. And I mean, it being able to embody the character, and you don't basically have to audition for it. So I really I started it just because of theater and film, and seeing cool trailers and stuff with characters, and seeing how can I embody that character too. I can do the same thing. So I think both film and theater has really just inspired me to yeah.
Speaking of characters, what were some of your favorite characters that you have cosplayed so far?
My two absolute favorites, 100% absolute favorites, are my Inquisitor Trevelyan from Dragon Age Inquisition, because that entire cosplay is made 100% by hand, by me, patterns, everything. And it was such a really great feeling. I had so much passion to finish that cosplay, because I love that game series so much. If you haven't watched or played that game, go play Dragon Age Inquisition. But I started playing it, and I loved that whole outfit that one of the characters wears. So I made the whole thing out of basically from 3 leather hides and Worbla and foam, and it was my first big cosplay. So definitely my Inquisitor. My other one just most recently that I really love is, I've been reading this book series called Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and there's this character in there named Manon, and just the way that she acts is so cool, because she's basically a witch that rides a dragon, or a wyvern technically, and it's really cool just to have her whole character arc and everything. And I made an outfit based on the book, but I got to be very creative with it too. I think my other one, I know I said 2, but my third definitely is Daenerys. I love being Daenerys from Game of Thrones, and I'm going to actually be doing another cosplay of her in the next month or so.
Nice.
So yeah.
So describe to me what the process is when you're making a costume, the one you're wearing right now, Black Widow.
The process of making it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this one I will say, I actually had a company make this one mostly for me. The only thing is I did get it in a regular size, where that's when you have to do all the modifications for it. So I did go about actually looking up tutorials online of how to modify, because the waist and everything is very, very different. So you have to figure out how can you modify it to best suit your body. So I went around to go about modifying it, but also looking at tutorials on YouTube just to see how do you modify a bodysuit, which I watched a lot of videos from Allison Tabitha, who is one of my absolute favorite cosplay idols, and also she's I consider her a friend. She's really cool. And one of her videos is all about how she modified her Hela cosplay, and modified the whole thing from the waist, from the thighs, from the arms, and it looked really cool. So I decided to do the same thing. And I think it's just kind of having your own base of where you want to start, and then working your way from there, at least having a vision as to what you want to have happen.
Interesting. I also want to ask, describe to me what you do to keep ideas fresh when doing cosplay.
To keep ideas fresh, I think I always like to do cosplays that are very important to me, that I feel it's a character that I feel strongly for. So if it's a character that I don't feel strongly for, then I'll do the cosplay, but I won't feel that emotional connection to it. So especially when I do Manon and my Inquisitor, or even Daenerys, I feel I have a connection with that character. So I feel more fresh when I am a character that I really, really enjoy. Like, I mean, I've cosplayed so many different Supergirls at this point. Supergirl still is going to hold like a special place in my heart because I've done so many of her so many cosplays of her. So it really is just being able to, I mean, as long as you feel that emotional connection and feel like you really, really love that character, it's going to feel fresh every time.
Nice. Now, in regards to cosplay culture itself, what stigmas do you think there are when outside people that don't participate in cosplay culture comment on just participating in cosplay?
I think, so I started cosplaying in 2011, and back then in 2011, like, it was called cosplaying, but people still really didn't understand like how it was very much becoming mainstream, I want to say like in 2015, 2016-ish. So when I first started, there were people who were kind of like, whoa, you're like dressing up, like what's going on? And I think the more that this cosplay, especially with Adam Savage doing his Tested series and actually interviewing cosplayers and cosplaying himself, I think that's brought like a more light to cosplaying. So nowadays when I see people who, like, even though they haven't like never cosplayed or don't really know cosplaying before, they see it and they go, whoa, like that's cool, like that person's dressed up, like why is that person dressed up? So it's kind of changed a little bit from when I first started, where people were wondering why I was dressing up, to, oh, that's like a cool costume, like what are you doing, is there an event somewhere? So I mean, it's still kind of, you have to deal with the person who's kind of asking you these questions. I mean, you have to respond to them and kind of act as if you're, you know, like, I'm a cosplayer, let me tell you a little bit about cosplaying. So it's gotten a little better though throughout the years.
I also want to ask, when you're not cosplaying, what are your other interests outside of it?
Other interests outside of cosplaying. I'm going to grab my book right now. So I've been reading a ton lately. In fact, I am on the last book, which is over there. This one. The last book right now. And I have been really loving just to, I used to read a lot when I was in high school, and then I stopped reading when I was in college that much because I read textbooks. And then nowadays I'm reading it again, and I enjoy kind of immersing myself in a fantasy world and not having to really focus on anything else that's happening in life. The other thing I do is other than making cosplays, I do love doing like my own photography now. So I've been going more into the photography side. I also really enjoy playing video games. In fact, I'm going to sound really terrible when I say this, but I still have never played The Witcher, and
Don't worry, me neither.
Yeah, The Witcher is on my list. I am going to get it after I get home this weekend to go and start playing The Witcher. So video games, definitely. I mean, I finally got myself Disney Plus like a couple days ago, so I'm probably going to start binging Disney Plus and all my favorite Disney movies, and again, reading. And one thing I do when I read too is I put on music that matches the book, so it feels more like a movie in my head. And I think I just love that whole like adding the music to the book and then making it sound like, oh, this is, even though there's not really like a soundtrack for it, I want to add a soundtrack to it. So definitely music and reading.
Interesting. I haven't thought about like reading in that kind of way before, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you a very particular question. What character that you haven't already done yet would you want to cosplay as?
Ooh, this is I think her. So there's two characters that I really want to cosplay. One of them I'm actually in the process of starting to figure out like how I'm going to cosplay. Darth Revan from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic was one of the first video games that I ever completely beat by myself. And I felt so proud when I finished that game. And it was so cool how you could change different things, and you could, basically the game changes based on your decisions. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, it's like one of the first like official major RPGs of that time, because I think it was like 2003 when the game came out. So I really loved Darth Revan in it, and I'm not going to spoil anything for those of you who have never played the game, but Darth Revan is really cool. So I really want to do my own take on Darth Revan from Star Wars Knights of the Republic. The other one is, this is going to sound really funny, but I'm trying to see if I can get my brother to join me on this one because I really want to do an Yzma in Krunk from Emperor's New Groove. Because I want to do Yzma, and I want to see if I can get my brother to dress up as Krunk, because I think that would be pretty funny if we ran around in like the lab coats doing the whole like high five thing and like pull the lever, Krunk, and then wrong lever. So I thought that'd be really funny to do.
Very fun.
Yeah.
And my last question for you would be, what advice would you give to someone that feels that they're stuck creatively or they're too embarrassed to participate in cosplay?
I think the biggest thing is that when you are starting out cosplay, it can be really intimidating because there are, I mean, especially in this time, there are a lot of people who are cosplaying and you almost feel intimidated by them. I will say this, like myself, there are times when I see cosplayers and I feel pretty intimidated because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this person does such a great job at this cosplay. Like, why am I going to be able to do this? I think the biggest thing is to really have self-confidence in yourself, because you have to feel confident. Like, really, I started cosplaying because I just had characters that I really, really enjoyed, and I really wanted to dress up like them and, you know, show myself off as them and think like, oh, look at me, I'm this character. So for me, it's definitely my obsessions. So like right now, as I said, my book obsessions, and I just did Manon from the book series. For me, I feel like that's the best I could do. So for somebody who feels stuck, do something that you enjoy, not something that somebody's telling you to do. Because that way you feel like you have a personal connection instead of being like, oh, well, this person told me to cosplay this person, so I'm just going to cosplay them. Because you might not have an emotional connection with them. So definitely do something that you love. Don't do something that somebody else has told you and you just feel okay with it.
As a final follow-up to that, you're an advocate for positivity. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Aside from that, like plus that, what would be your biggest message that you also want to spread, not just to cosplay culture, but to the world?
Ooh, a big cosplay message. Biggest thing I say is to have fun with it, because for cosplay, it's supposed to be all about having fun. It's not really, I mean, unless you're doing like an actual cosplay competition, but even still, cosplay is all about having fun with other people. Like, I love it when I get to cosplay with friends and get to cosplay, like, you know, similar things. Like right now I am planning a trip to go to London to basically get this whole group together for this book series, and we're all going to be dressing up as characters from the book series. For us, it's like so much fun to get together. Like, we don't care if people on the internet are going to say, well, that just looks bad and that's not what the character looks like in the book. No, we're just there because we want to have fun and enjoy. So with cosplay, biggest thing is just like have fun with it. It's a hobby. It's there to make, like, just to make yourself feel good. So have fun.
Yes, have fun indeed. And this is Captain Casey. I'm Dylan Lazaga, and we are from Wizard World Comic Con signing out.